You're listening to Talk with Olena podcast, the podcast for immigration practitioners in Canada. Today I want to talk about a very simple truth that not a lot of people seem to follow. Is that, we all as immigration consultants and lawyers need to constantly work on our competency level. And more so, we need to do this when we're starting our businesses in the first couple of years, our businesses. Before we move on and talk a little bit about this topic, I want to remind you that my podcast is sponsored by Seminars. Seminars is my favorite CPD provider. I always buy my CPD hours from Seminars. The quality is absolutely great, and they are the amazing tool that you can use to increase your competency in immigration business as an immigration consultant. Okay, so let's move on to our topic of the day. Increasing your competency. Well, it's pretty straightforward, that we all, of course, need to complete CPD hours every year to maintain our license. And of course, we need to know all the ins and outs of immigration case processing just to make sure that we provide good service for the clients. However, what I see is that I really do see a lot of immigration consultants that are struggling with this aspect. And I think the reason why they're struggling is because it's just simply, too much, right? Like it's too much to handle business and, learn something new every day in terms of like processing cases. And I agree, it is very difficult, but simple truth, you have to push through. First year, 2 years, even 3 years, you really have to be prepared to research extensively all of the immigration application processes and all of the ins and outs of the processes. I don't know if it's going to be new information for you, but it is absolutely impossible to build a good business if you are not good at your job. Okay, so you have to be actually good at what you're doing to be successful. And I can teach you a lot in my business, for a business, that you can improve your business. I can teach you a lot of tips and tricks and, pricing strategies and marketing strategies and case processing strategies. I can, especially if you enrolled into like one of my programs, or if you attended my events, webinars. By the way, we're going to have a new one very soon. I can teach you a lot, but none of this will actually help you if you don't know how to do your actual job, which is case processing, advising clients, consulting clients. You need to learn that. You need to learn the basics, the actual rules, the actual law, immigration law. And it's important. It's very hard, and it's impossible to learn it right away, like in one shot. We're constantly learning, but it's important that you do that, especially if you're starting. You cannot charge $400 for a consultation if your consultation is not good. Right? I mean, you can, it's just you're not going to have a lot of clients because the word will spread. The only way you can really charge the prime rate for your services if you actually good, if you bring that value to the table. You need to bring that value to the table. You need to know better. And it's not, the value comes in a form of experience. Yes, absolutely. But also in a form of knowledge. So if you just started as an immigration consultant, from point zero, and you don't have any experience, that's okay. That's fine. You should have a knowledge though. You should have knowledge of how to consult and process cases, consult clients, and all of that. And if you don't know something, it's absolutely fine, but you should have time to research it. You should be researching it a lot. And it is not only normal, but necessary to spend at least 30% of your time in your first couple of years of running your own immigration practice, 30% of your time researching the answers to the questions. Now, a couple of tips how you can actually, keep your competency level up. The very easy way is that whatever platform you're running for your marketing, like if it's Instagram or your blog or whatever it is, when you communicating with people, like for example Instagram, right? You can just ask them questions, like you ask them to ask you questions, right? Do it often, and people will ask you questions. Or if you do YouTube, right? Like in comment section, encourage them to ask you questions and respond to those questions, because it will make you research different situations. If you are unsure, like go read some forums, and actually what you can do, you can go to forums, go to Facebook groups, and you can start responding to people's questions. And not only will train your competency and your knowledge of immigration law, but also it will possibly bring you some clients, because if you're responding to people's questions over the internet and on Facebook groups, for example, then they eventually will ask you like, oh, do you handle these cases, right? So, but it's very important to understand that increasing your level of competency is the only way to build a successful business. You can build a successful business only if you're good at what you do. If you're not good at what you do, it's just going to even prevent you from hiring people, right? Because how are you going to train your assistant if you don't know what to do? Then your assistant would also not know what to do, right? And you shouldn't expect your assistant to know better than you. So like you cannot, it's impossible to grow your business, even if your big goal is to hire immigration consultants instead of yourself and just a kind of step away. Even that, it's just not possible to do if you don't know the actual applications, if you don't know the actual processing and all of the questions. You're not able to consult people, right, properly. So it's really, you need to invest heavily into this. And the good thing about this is that it's not expensive to invest into it, because most of it is investing your time and buying those CPDs, which are honestly not that expensive. And by the way, if you're going to buy CPDs from IM Seminars, you can use my promo code, and that would be really not expensive to you, because you will have a discount from me, right? And just get those CPDs that are relevant to the case types that you're doing. Like, just budget that time in your schedule to learn, because competency is the only way to success. There is no other way to success other than actually being good at your actual job. So I hope, if you are fairly new, 1 to 3 years in business, I hope I just, encouraged you a little bit and just told you that it is totally normal not to know things. But what's not normal is not to strive to know those things, right? It's totally normal if you're not feeling competent, that's fine. But you need to be actively taking those steps to start feeling competent, little by little, case type by case type. Focus on something small. Even if you already feel competent, still focus on only certain case types and learn the basics. Define correct knock numbers. Like, so many consultants to this day cannot learn how to define knock numbers. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I will actually kill somebody, because one more time a client comes to me from another consultant and the knock number is wrong. Like, sometimes I just want to, like, I don't know, just pick up the phone, call them and say like, look, I'll just teach. Can I just teach you how to do this properly? Because that's a basics of any immigration applications. Like, and it's so straightforward, but like, if you don't know, you don't know, right? So I want you to be responsible. If you are listening to this podcast, you're probably already responsible, you're probably already good, but because you are already taking this step to learn a little bit more. So I'm sure you're good with learning. It's just it's totally normal to put time towards it, and then after intense learning for a couple of years, then you can just maintain that knowledge, right? So right now, like, I'm licensed for 7 and a bit years, and I'm just maintaining my knowledge, so keeping myself updated, right? Which is not super time consuming, but still it is a part of, big part of my job, of keeping myself updated with all the news and all the change of rules, right? Because rules change all the time and we need to know them. So, but the first 3 years, I remember it was like so much time that went on me like reading about applications and reading. Like every time the client asks me a question, I go and I'll try to figure it out and try to get to the bottom of it, right? So yeah, we all need to do it. And even though I'm sure you will have successful business, but just remember that the core base of having successful business is first and foremost being successful immigration consultant with a very, very good knowledge and very good value that you guys are bringing to your clients. All right, thank you so much for listening today, and then I hope to see you next week.